yo, which cryptocurrencies outside of Cosmos coins, because you guys already know I'm extremely bullish on Atom, Osmo, Juno, and so on and so forth. But which coins outside of Cosmos are very likely to survive an absolute capitulation and recession in the crypto markets? Now, before I get into these coins, let me briefly talk to you about Cryptocito, because we are hiring. I know that there's a lot of companies out there that are currently firing people that have to reduce their team size, but Cryptocito is actually doing the opposite. We need more developers, especially. We need developers to help us maintain and onboard new chains. We're currently validating on over 20 chains. We're pretty high up there on Atom, Osmo, Juno, Stargaze, Region Network, Agoric, we're already in there, Comdex, Casper even, Injective, Ixo, you name it, we're on most of these chains. One of the latest ones is Evmos actually, but we want to also add more value and provide more infrastructure support to the broader Cosmos ecosystem. So if you want to work with us, drop me a DM. Second announcement, and this is actually especially for the Latin American community. If you are interested to meet people in real life from the Cosmos space, core builders, core developers, core teams, then you cannot miss Cosmoverse, which is happening on September 26, 28 to 28 in Medellin, Colombia, which I think is one of the most exciting cities in the world, very vibrant, and they are aiming to become the software belly of Latin America. A lot of potentials there, a lot of talents. We aim to get together a lot of developers. Over 1,000 people is the goal that we will get together for 3 days. We already announced a couple of speakers here. Ethan Buckman, which I'm really excited to meet in person, the co-founder of Cosmos, is going to be there. Sunny, Zaki, we just announced Billy Rennekamp as well, and many, many, many others. You can also join our Cosmoverse Spanish Telegram group here. We already have more than 200 members in there, and they're all from Latin America, all over the continent. It's going to be really, really exciting. So make sure you join our community. We also have an English chat here with nearly 600 people in there. Now, let's get into some of the current things that are going on in crypto. There's literally never a boring day. We do have Bitcoin reaching absolute new lows that people have not expected 2-3 months ago when Bitcoin was above 50K and Osmo was at $12. Bitcoin is trading just above $20,000, Ethereum just above $1,100, and a lot of altcoins are already down over 90%. Osmo is trading at 70 something cent, Juno at $2 something, Atom went below $6. Those are absolute crashes. This is like, it doesn't really remind me of 2018, 2019, because it took 1 year, 1.5 years to reach those nasty levels of 90% in loss. And now we got it within 3 months. That's absolute wild. And it doesn't really feel like a very long bear market that we're gonna enter. It feels more like a quick and nasty bloodbath that we might even recover faster than people might think. But yeah, so we do have new lows in the markets. Coinbase laying off employees. Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, just came out and said 18% of the Coinbase employees will be fired because they just grew too fast. They have very high burn rate. They started to not be as efficient anymore, which is why they had to take that decision. I'm not sure if MicroStrategy actually got liquidated, but I do know that MicroStrategy borrowed money to long Bitcoin, basically to purchase Bitcoin. So this is never a good idea to do, especially in a highly volatile asset class like crypto. And one of the biggest things that is potentially collapsing is Celsius. And Celsius still holds hundreds of millions of user deposits, which is at risk of being liquidated, which would mean if they get liquidated, and I think the current liquidation price is dropping down now because they're backing it up with collateral, but the liquidation is around $17,000 Bitcoin, which we are not far away from, which is why they halted withdrawals. But if they get liquidated, then it might be another massive, massive dump around the corner in the short term. So Celsius is a threat. Not as big as a threat as Terra, but you can draw comparisons. I also saw people asking whether this could happen on Osmosis, but it's just two fundamentally different things. Celsius is a centralized lending platform, and Osmosis is a decentralized exchange. You can't really compare them. You can compare Celsius more to BlockFi and Nexo. out there, although they have different models to sustain. And Celsius seems to be in the process of collapsing right now, which is not good. Binance freezing BTC and USDT. That was only for a couple of hours. And the Tether market cap is also plunging, which means supposedly that USDT is being redeemed and people are getting out of crypto, out of the entire market, basically. So this is the sentiment that we're in right now. Crypto whale has always been extremely bearish. Obviously, a lot of people say he's a bear. He's a fudster. He always talks everything negative. But after all, a lot of things that he said, even though you might not agree to them, I think it's still important to somehow at least hear about these things to get a different viewpoint, which is also why I'm following this account. So what are the coins that are more likely to succeed, to be able to go through, even if Bitcoin would go to 3-4K, Ethereum would go to 200-300, 98% of the coins die, which would be those few percentage of coins that have a higher likelihood at least. You can never tell this with 100% accuracy, with 100% certainty. This is still crypto after all. And eventually, the last resort is always trust. Trust in the developers, in the team, in their treasury management, in their capability to deal with pressure. So always keep this in mind that this space, after all, even though it's all code and replacing human emotions through code, after all, it's still being run by humans. So there's still things that you need to consider here. Now, there we are on CoinGecko here. You can already see these prices look absolutely ridiculous. This looks like 2018 right now. Bitcoin 22K. And I'm also not going to say Bitcoin or Ethereum because they're obviously very likely to succeed or at least to be able to go through this bear market because they have gone through it already multiple times. So I will leave these two out. Very high likelihood that they will survive. My first pick would obviously be here, Cosmos Hub Atom, because that's my favorite cryptocurrency of all of them basically at this point. But I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to go ahead and start with Hedera HBAR, which is a coin that I've covered on this channel also multiple times. I think it was at below 5 cents when I first covered it, maybe even below that, and went all the way up to 56 cents, 57 cents nearly. So that's absolutely wild. And now it's back down at 6.6 cents. However, HBAR is right now in the top 40. And I remember they were in the top 50, top 60. So they're slowly climbing up the rankings. And I find them very interesting because they're not using blockchain technology. They're using DAG technology, which is the abbreviation for directed acyclic graph. And they have developed their own protocol, which initially was patented. Now it's open source, not just open for review, but actually open source. So that's really, really cool. And they just have gained a lot more traction and momentum. They have a strong and active community. They are super well funded. They have a network of very highly reputable governing council members, which once it hits 39 of these council members, it will open up and get more and more decentralized over time. It's a very slow process. Right now, it's still quite centralized. However, if you would compare it to other chains that only have 20, 30 nodes that control most of the voting power by far, or even just a handful of them, you could also make the argument that Hedera is not that centralized, actually, if you consider these things as well. So I think they are very exciting, lightning fast, and now you can actually also stake them, which is something that I have never covered on this channel before, but Hedera can now be staked. You can do that here on Stater Labs, where you swap your HBARs for HBARX. And HBARX is basically, I think, a liquid staking token that accrues value against HBAR. 578 million HBARs are already in there. So at the peak of 56 cents, let's say 50 cents, that's like nearly 300 million US dollars. Right now we're far off of that. But the APY is 42%, which is really, really cool. So I guess it simulates also compounded interest, not just normal interest. Check this out. HBAR has a hard cap of 50 billion tokens. So yeah, this is interesting to get an APY on that. Another project that I've covered here on my channel, I actually had an interview with the founder, Emin, and also with the head of marketing, is Avalanche. By the way, for the records, I do own HBAR. I do not own any AVAX though, but I think AVAX or Avalanche is in a very good spot to survive this bear market. They do have already substantial traction here, $4.6 billion in market cap, top 20 cryptocurrency, $11.9 billion on a fully diluted, which is based on these 720 million coins. And if you look at a chart, the all-time high was at 145 US dollars, and it just came down to levels that weren't seen since summer of 2021. So yeah, and it's also a relatively new coin that launched late 2020. So they have never gone through a bear market, but I think now they will very likely survive this one. Why do I think that Avalanche is going to survive the bear market? Simply because they have real novel technology that works. They focus on interoperability. They have a very fast consensus mechanism. They are just gaining traction in terms of also adoption and integrations, applications being built on top of Avalanche. And I also know that Saki Manian, who is one of the core developers over at Cosmos, is very excited and thinking about how Avalanche can implement IBC. So we might see either Avalanche natively implementing IBC at some point, or, and that is actually already what is happening. This is an alpha leak here right now, a project that is merging the two technology stacks and also implementing IBC. And this project is called Landslide Network. You can find them at Cosmos AVAX on Twitter. I had a chat also with their CEO. They are also interested to get involved in Cosmoverse, so that's really, really interesting. And what they aim to become is a subnet on Avalanche that is also implementing IBC and built on a Cosmos technology stack, but it brings the finality to below a second, because apparently the Avalanche consensus algorithm is much faster to achieve finality, similar to actually also Hedera. I think in Hedera it's almost instant. In Avalanche, apparently the same. I've used both. I can't tell you which one is faster from a user experience point of view. I just know both are lightning fast. But yeah, AVAX is very interesting, and Landslide as well. And there will be an airdrop. That's also why throughout the bear market you should not unstake and sell everything, because that's where the big juicy airdrops might be waiting for you. Not saying that this is one, but there's potentially others that, especially through bear markets, want to reward the core community, the hardcore believers in crypto. Another project that I think is very likely to survive the bear market is the Graph GRT. The Graph is an indexing protocol that queries on-chain data and distributes them to dApps. And that's very, very critical infrastructure for especially DeFi. The Graph is already integrated in many, many applications out there. And they also just announced a compatibility with Cosmos chains. So you will also see Graph integrations on Cosmos. And the Graph GRT has a strong intrinsic utility for the Web3 space, which is super important infrastructure. Fully diluted, currently only at $1 billion US dollars, 800 million is the current market cap. You can also stake your GRT, so to speak, which I think is just above 20% APR, if I'm not mistaken. And if you zoom out here at max, you can tell that the all-time high was $2.84, which is wild. And right now it's at 10 cents. So do with that information what you want. This is not a recommendation or encouragement to buy the coin. You can also learn more about the Graph on their website. It's basically a decentralized API network for the Web3 space. You can explore subgraphs, you can explore dApps that are linked to it, but you can already get a feeling here just on top of the web page. Uniswap, Synthetics, Aave, basically all major DeFi applications on Ethereum. A lot of L2 integrations, and now also cross other ecosystems, which is very exciting. Next coin that I think is very likely to survive a bear market is Casper Network, CSPR, which I discovered just before I discovered Cosmos properly. I did my research on Casper. One of the core Ethereum contributors, Vlad Zamfir, has been one of the main architects behind Casper. When they launched, there was some dispute and lawsuit stuff going on about the rights and whatnot. But the chain is up and running. It works fast, works smooth, and they have they're getting slowly but surely they're getting more and more traction. I'm just hearing things here and there a little bit, but the community is also there. Not comparable to what Cosmos has achieved, but at least it's there, it's active, it's alive. They have strong funding, they have strong partners, and I don't see how they would just die out. And the price obviously has been absolutely destroyed. Currently at 3 cents. It was at $1.33 when it launched, but this number I think was just like the first minute it hit the exchange. So it was probably around 50 cents or 45 cents, 30 cents for a while, and went back up to 20 cents late 2021, and since then has just gone down, especially now in this crash. But I don't think they're dead. Do your research on them. I think they're also using interesting technology, basically Ethereum 3.0. So yeah, check it out. Casper Network also in my portfolio. Now, this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. There's actually two categories of cryptocurrencies that I think are also not going to die out. And those categories are security tokens and privacy coins. And I think at some point I can also make a video about this, which projects I'm looking at, which projects I have been buying in the past, I'm still holding, and I want to buy more of. And yeah, I hope you guys stay safe out there. Be good. I'll see you guys in the next one.